Yes, sir.
Yes, and start presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Our topic is PHEV design and component designing and their conversions. So let's see the outlines. PHEV design and component designing, component sizing of EREVs, component sizing of blended PHEVs, and then my teammate will explain the conversions of HEV to PHEVs. So first topic, PHEV design and component design. The main components of PHEVs are the powertrain and the battery pack. Using the resistive force and acceleration requirement, it can be sized. The total vehicle force is given as mg sin alpha plus mg c naught plus mg c1 v square plus 1 by 2 rho cd af v square plus m dv by dt, where g is the Earth's gravity, m is represented as vehicle mass, alpha is the road slope which is in radians, c naught and c1 are the rolling coefficients, rho is the air density, cd is the aerodynamic coefficient, and af is the frontal area, and v defines the vehicle speed. Now, at any given speed, the power at the wheels is, the power can be represented by just multiplying vehicle speed to the above equation. Next level. This graph tells about the traction force of a medium-sized passenger car. Traction force versus the vehicle speed. In the first gear, the torque is about 60%. It decreases with the increase of the gear. In the second person, it comes to 40%, and then third gear 20%, and at the road line, it comes to 0%. Next, we'll see the component sizing of EREVs. Component sizing of EREVs. For a PHEV to be capable of electric driving, the powertrain motor needs to be sized such that the motor can provide sufficient torque for all driving conditions. The other design criteria for the motor sizing is the acceleration time and the gradability. For example, we can tell typical power rating of a passenger car is about 125 kilowatt, and the typical traction motor of a SUV is about 150 kilowatt. The engine can be said, engine of a EREV is designed to provide average power during the extended driving range, in addition to driveline need. For the now coming to the traction battery, there are two important parameters: energy capacity and power capacity. Since the EREVs are designed to operate under all conditions without turning the engine, the battery power rating needs to match the traction motor rating. For example, if the traction motor is rated at 125 kilowatt output with a system efficiency of 95%, then the battery needs to have power capacity of 131, about 131. Another important parameter of the battery pack is the energy capacity. This can be calculated based on the total electric range to be designed. For example, if a vehicle is designed to have an electric range of 64 kilometer and the vehicle consumes an average of 150 watt per kilometer in city driving, then the battery needs to be able to provide 9.6 kilowatt of usable energy. Now we'll see the component sizing of blended PHEV. Next. In this, the design of a powertrain motor, engine, and blended PHEVs is much similar to the design of the parallel HEVs. The only requirement is that the traction motor should be sized in such a way that it can be the driven majoritarily in the city driving. For highway driving, the engine will provide power to the driving. The battery sizing in this case is similar. The battery sizing in this case is similar to the battery sizing of EREVs, that is equivalent electric distance required for a PHEV. Since the focus is on city driving, the battery is sized to satisfy the city driving conditions majorly. For example, we can take, if a blended PHEV is equipped with a powertrain motor of 50 kilowatts with an efficiency of 95 percentage, then the battery needs to be capable of providing 52 kilowatt of power. If the desired city driving distance in electric mode is 40 kilometer and the power consumption is about 160 watt per kilometer, then the battery needs to have usable capacity of at least 6.4 kilowatt per hour. Next, we'll see the HEV to PHEV conversions, which will be explained by my teammate, Saurabh.
So far, you have done a good work and you have read the topics quite a lot. So,
Yes,
and now the presentation is given by Shreyas. Saurabh, please unmute yourself. Yes, you are visible. Shreyas, yes. So, Saurabh, you please present.
So good afternoon, sir. I will be explaining about how to convert hybrid electric vehicles to plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So this can be done in two ways. By replacing the original battery pack with a larger battery pack, which is having larger capacity, and another one is adding an extra battery pack to the vehicle system. So first we'll go through replacing the existing battery pack. So this can be done in two ways. That is, first is removing the old battery pack and adding a new battery pack, which is having larger capacity. For example, in HEVs, they are using nickel metal hydride batteries, which are having less capacity, approximately having 1.2 to 2.2 kilowatt hour. But in PHEVs, we are using lithium ion batteries, which are having higher capacity, approximately 7 to 12 kilowatt hours. So first thing is directly removing the old battery and adding a new battery pack. Another one is using a gateway approach. So block diagram of the gateway approach you can see here. So battery, first in gateway approach, the battery electronic unit information gives the information to the gateway ECU, which is the part of the new battery pack. So this new battery pack produces the manipulated data and gives to the PHEV electronic control unit. So next, in most of the, as I said, in most of the EVs, they are using high voltage NIMH batteries. The power and the energy available from the battery are typically determined by the battery SOC and battery temperature. So this ECU of the battery always keeps an eye on the battery conditions, that is temperature, voltage, and the amperage used by the battery. So the ECU calculates the SOC, state of charge, and sends discharge charge request to the vehicle ECU to maintain the SOC at a medium level. So to understand this, let us consider an example. In a PHEV vehicle, the target SOC is, if the target SOC is 60%, if the SOC falls below 40%, then the battery electronic unit sends a request to the vehicle ECU. Then this vehicle ECU regenerates this signal to the engine in order to increase the power of the engine to charge the battery. Similarly, if the battery if the state of charge falls above the 80%, then this battery ECU sends a request to the vehicle ECU. Then the vehicle ECU sends this request to the motor in order to discharge, in order to make the battery discharge. So the typical battery power versus SOC allowed by an EHV graph is given here. On the x-axis, we can see the state of charge in percentage, and on the y-axis, battery power in kilowatts it is given. So in the starting, the battery power and the state of charge are related to each other. When we are moving from 50% to 80%, we can see that the vehicle gains more power from the battery, because that the vehicle can be running in a hilly area or somewhere in the higher regions. The next is if a vehicle wants to use the battery from more power from the battery, we have to manipulate the real battery values. So how it is manipulated it is given here. So actual and manipulated battery SOC information for powertrain control purposes in a converted PHV is given here. So when the real how it is calculated means, if the whenever we are, for example, whenever we are using a new battery, we have to use its energy up to we have to use its energy much more. But if the SOC falls below 30%, then the batteries using the battery will give a negative impact and will lead to bad health of the battery life. Then when the battery real SOC is above 30%, the real SOC is mapped to 60 to 75%, that is manipulated
Correct.
value, where the vehicle ECU will maximize the use of the battery energy. If it falls below 30%, then the calculation depends upon the original battery. So the calculation is, if SOC of real battery is greater than 30%, then it is calculated as SOC real state of charge of real battery is given by AH new minus integration IDT divided by AH new. AH stands for the battery capacity of the new pack of the battery.
Ampere hour.
Then the manipulated battery can be calculated as 60%, as it is mapped to 60 to 75%. So a manipulated value can be calculated as 60% plus 0.21 SOC real minus 0.3. If the
So
SOC,
SOC manipulated can go maximum up to 75%, right?
yes sir.
So this 0.21 into SOC real minus 0.3. So this can go to maximum 15%, 1.5.
Yes sir.
Okay,
It
fine.
should lie between
Okay.
60 to 75%, sir.
Correct.
Means max is 75%.
Yes, correct. Proceed.
If SOC real is less than 30%, then manipulated SOC can be calculated as delta SOC plus 0.6. That is nothing but is equal to integration IDT by AH old, means capacity of the old battery plus 0.6. So next, second thing, we can convert hybrid electric vehicles to plug-in electric hybrid vehicles. The second method is adding an extra battery pack. So first, a battery is available, the original battery pack. Let us consider it is a nickel metal hydride, and a new battery pack is also installed in that. In this, we need a DC-DC converter. We require a DC-DC converter here because this DC-DC converter slowly takes the energy from the new battery pack and gives it to and keeps charging the original
Old
battery pack, which is discharging. So the battery ECU will reset the SOC of the nickel metal hydride battery pack based on the battery voltage. The energy that is charged to the nickel metal hydride battery is being used due to the detected high state of charge. So this installing a battery pack, new battery pack, will not be having any impact on the original electric circuits and the control systems of the vehicle. And next one is converting conventional vehicles to PHVs. So some technologies of the hybrid electric vehicle technologies has converted the conventional vehicles to PHVs because they are having abundant space available in them, let us consider a truck which is having abundant space between it. So they have made only some changes, that is they have kept the front axle as a gasoline engine, but they have changed the rear axle as they have added two things, that is a induction motor and an extra battery pack. So here PHEVs are having a benefit that they are having a plug outside which through which we can charge the battery through a external electric source, and thereby reducing the fuel consumption. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so a lot of things are new for me actually. So I have not studied much about PHEV, but the way these people are explaining it, a lot of design considerations I have understood, especially that state of charge bottom level, state of charge top level, these things are there. So we have seen it in electric parallel and series drivetrain, but the same thing is being applied for PHEV also, and the formulas are new. So formulas, Saurabh and Shreyas, they have put properly and they have explained. There are minor formatting issues. You plus correct that and make all the fonts in all the slides same. Bring the title in the middle at the top. So technically, it's a good presentation, and PPT wise also a little bit more correction you can do and upload your slide in Google Classroom. So a very good presentation, Saurabh, and thank you. I congratulate you for completion. So next I invite C5 group,
Thank you, sir.
Sumalakshi and Pratibha for presenting their topic.